Hello everyone, I'm Dan Philgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for Monday, February 23rd. On today's show, we'll meet Jim and Linda Best, the first residents of the Estuary. But first, we want to remind you that tonight is movie night. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn star in the 1949 classic Adam's Rib. Sharp wit and prickly affection abound as these two play husband and wife attorneys who find themselves on opposing sides in a murder trial. Come join the fun starting at 6:45 p.m. in the Social Center on the island. Then tomorrow, a library book talk will take place in the Social Center. Bill Saunders of King's Crown will review The Roberts Court: Struggle for the Constitution by Marcia Coyle. The book deals with the 8 years of the Supreme Court under Chief Justice John Roberts, Jr. and the constitutional maelstrom that has been going on during this period. Come and talk about this interesting book and enjoy some refreshments at 2:15 in the Social Center. Then tomorrow evening, it's concert time again, this time with the Paradise Coastman Barbershop Chorus. This exciting group has been around for more than 40 years in the Naples-Fort Myers area, singing a cappella in a barbershop 4-part harmony style. These entertainers perform anything from Broadway show tunes to gospel and more. The show begins at 7:15 in the church auditorium. Progress at the Estuary has been steady and rapid. The entrance has come together and is looking inviting. The community building and pool are looking good and are just about ready for use. The construction crews are pushing ahead on the outer shells of the homes, leaving the interior finishing until the decorative choices can be made by the eventual occupants. And the first residents are already moved in and enjoying their new home. We went out to pay a visit to Jim and Linda Best.
Well, I was a teacher for quite a while, and it was a period of time in Ohio where the state was desperate to get teachers, so they offered a 2-year scholarship, and then if you taught for 2 years, you didn't have to pay it back. So of course I did that, but then I finished the degree eventually, and
then went on and finished a PhD.
Right, I just kept going to school when I wasn't teaching. Then I became a school psychologist for a while. Then Jim started a business in 1980.
Yes.
And he needed help.
Boy, did he.
Organizing the office and so forth. So I did that, and we both worked until we were 75 with his business.
And so ours was a very small business, so we used to call it just a little ma and pa international newsletter business. And so Linda was really the one I could discuss different ideas with and things. And what we did was to publish a total of about 6 newsletters that varied from time to time on different aspects of the plastics industry. These would be read by managers and presidents of companies in the plastics industry. And then we did market studies, mostly on plastics in the automotive industry. And these were big fat books, sold for about $4,000 a piece. And we lived up north because I had to be near the automotive industry. The newsletter business ran into troubles, mostly due to the internet. These happened about the time that was a good time for us to retire, so we just walked away from it and trying to relearn how to play golf and enjoy life. And, a lot of sailing. Had a 30-foot, it was called a non-such type of boat. And before that had a 45-foot diesel-powered Woody, a 1.5-inch cedar planking on bent oak frames, big diesel engine. So we enjoyed boating and the friends that you make boating a lot. When the business really started to fold down and we started to be moving more into retirement, We didn't have any reason to need to be up north where it tends to get cold in the winter. And we first moved down here and just stayed over on Sanibel for first half of the year. And of course the winters are just delightful down here. And then everyone around here is familiar with Shell Point, but our dog weighs about 40 pounds. And where for the apartments that they have, they keep it to a 20-pound limit, which makes good sense. But with the estuary here, they've been flexible and allow larger dogs, and that meant that we could consider moving into Shell Point and take life easy and take advantage of all the recreational things they've got here. And
we kept talking to Ted Benjamin for a couple of years, and then he called one day and he said, "We're having a luncheon. Would you like to come over and hear about the estuary?" And then we found out the number, and we said, "Oh dear, we want one of those." Yeah. And fortunately, his inviting us to lunch let us know it was available.
All the staff here, everybody we work with, they're just friendly as can be, helpful as can be. We needed to get in here by a certain date because we had sold our home on Sanibel, and we had to be out of it by a certain date. And that date was several weeks before any of the homes over here were scheduled to be ready for occupancy. And we were over here almost every day while they were building it. And talking with the people who were doing the actual work here.
Bob Southern happened to be here one night, and we told him the date that we had to be out at Sanibel, which was November 30th. We'd stayed in the house something like four months after it was sold, which was nice, but we had to be out. He said, "I'll call you tomorrow and see what we can do."
And so we got in that time, and it made the move much easier for us, and it was good.
The sidewalk is almost completed all the way around the new lake, and the white pelicans have chosen to come over here quite a bit.
And over here, we're very much more independent of the automobile. I got a golf cart, which I can take over to the golf course or to the exercise or to the kayaks and anything else. I think if I go out and kayak in the morning and then go to the exercise program in the afternoon, there's probably more here to do than you can really find time for unless you really schedule yourself.
Employee Chaplain Don Steenhoek loves science. For him, there is endless, fascinating beauty to be found in it. He has prepared yet another talk about his findings that he's calling Beautiful Science 13.
Hello everyone, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here with Pastor Don Steenhoek, our employee chaplain here at Shell Point, also a scientist who shares with us every semester in his Beautiful Science series. Today we're talking about number 13. Thank you for joining me, Don.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Terry.
We are so grateful that you take the time to put something together for us, a topic going on in science right now, so that we can really get the benefit of your interest in the scientific discoveries going on.
Well, it's totally my joy to do that. It's kind of a hobby of mine.
It's wonderful. Now, this one, satellite imaging, where do you start?
Well, what they're doing, or at least what we have the capability of doing, is launching clusters of small satellites, not the big satellites that we're used to, but small ones about the size of a loaf of bread. And the idea is with these smaller satellites that'll be doing constant imaging, they will be able to update Google Earth on a daily basis. So you literally are going to be able to go to Google Earth and see yourself, whatever you're doing in your backyard.
Okay, let's describe that. Google Earth is on the internet,
on the web, yes.
On the web, and you can go to something called Google Earth,
Yes.
and see.
You can go to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, you can go to the top of Pikes Peak, you can go look at your house, like I can look at my house, and you can have a view looking down, and they also have a truck that goes on the street and takes horizontal pictures so that I can actually stand virtually outside the front door of my house and look at it from the street level, and then I can move like 50 yards down and look at it from that angle as well.
Wonderful. Okay, back to Google Earth.
Yes. Basically what they're going to do is update this so that, for instance, in a practical application for me, we have a sable palm tree that suddenly my wife and I went outside and said, all of the bottom leaves are turning brown. And to be honest with you, we have no idea when that started. But with this technology, we could go to Google Earth and backdate it and say, oh, well, it started 18 days ago, which means it would be very serious because the sable palm should not be turning brown that rapidly, but it will give you that capability.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so how big are these things?
About the size of a loaf of bread. And speaking of small, another part of the series this time is going to be the development of robots that are the size of a grain of rice. Now, they're not autonomous at this point, but they're capable of performing tasks even though they're that small. And it'll be very interesting to see what some of the applications for these tiny little insect-like robots is going to be.
So, Beautiful Science 13, from the size of a grain of rice to the size of a loaf of bread, they're watching us.
Well, not only that, but my wife gave me one of these things for Christmas. It's called a Fitbit. It worked well for about 2 weeks, and then I had to start charging it every other day, and then I had to start charging it every day, and the charge is supposed to last for about a week. So when it got down to the fact that I was having to charge it about every 4 hours, I called the 800 number. I did everything I could do online and tried this, that, and the other thing. So I'm talking to this young lady who I think lives in India, and I'm describing to her what's happening with my Fitbit. And she said to me, well, sir, if you will give me your email address, which is the link that links this to the website and to the location on the computer, she said, I'll run a diagnostic and see what's going on. And she says, oh my goodness, I see right now it's plugged in and it's at 30%. Oh, let's see, yesterday, yeah, it was down to 0 and you plugged it in and it lasted, the charge lasted for 6 hours. And then she backtracked and said, well, I can see here that in January 16 was really the first time that it didn't hold the charge. And all of a sudden, a light is going on in my head, okay? This thing monitors my sleep, monitors all of my activity. I can push a button, for instance, right now, I'll push the button, and it will say that I have walked 2,120 steps already today because I took the dog out for a walk. But that's known to me, and that's known to her, okay? So in a big database someplace, they know when I go to bed, how restless I am at night, when I get up for a drink of water, when I get up in the morning. They know what time of day I exercise. And because I'm on the Fitbit diet, I'm entering all my food, so they know when I eat and what I eat. It's a complete list. If you go in, for instance, and you say, I went to Arby's and had a roast beef, you type in Arby's roast beef and it pops up what kind you had and you click on it, so they know exactly what fast food store I went to, what I ate when I got there. And you can imagine there are probably millions of people that are wearing this device. We are being tracked and our behavior is being monitored. And I'm sure that information is being sold to people who are interested in knowing when I go to bed, when I get up, when I'm active during the day, and what I'm eating during the day. And this is just the simple model, okay? I can upgrade to a unit that when my phone rings here in my hip, I don't have to pull my phone out. I just look at my wrist and it gives the caller ID. So it's tracking all of my phone calls. I can upgrade from that and it will track my blood pressure, you know, and my pulse rate 24 hours a day. So I'm wearing this little convenient thing on my wrist that is keeping track of my every movement, what I eat, and what I do, and it's all part of a huge database that's being mined so that they can better market their product to me.
Robots, Fitbits, database. You won't want to miss Beautiful Science 13 with Don Steenhoek. 10 o'clock, the Grand Cypress Room, Monday.
And now, let's cover all of Monday's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections, right after this word from David Howenstein with a preview of his radio show that's on Channel 12 Listening to the Words.
Welcome to an encore performance of Listening to the Words, first aired 2 years ago. Whether listening on ShellPoint Channel 12 or on the ShellPoint website, this is the only radio show where you can enjoy such a meaningful mix of stories, poems, and articles. This week, learn how Winston Churchill first learned to read. Hear my reading of ShellPoint writer Nita DeWeese's story about how a budding author took on a bank robber right in front of everybody. Appreciate the emotional value of those old-time telephones in a dialogue between me and ShellPoint resident Mary Ann Bennett. And recall the aromatic aromas of those bygone days with an excerpt from once ShellPoint resident Duke Murray's book, Come Reminisce with Me. I'm David Howenstein, and reminding you that you can listen to this encore performance of the radio program Listening to the Words on your TV set twice each hour every day this week on ShellPoint Channel 12. ShellPointers whose alternate service providers don't include the 3 ShellPoint channels can still listen to this and all Listening to the Words programs by pointing their computer browsers to www.shellpoint.net/listening. Scrolling down on the left-hand listing of programs, and then clicking on Program 102, which is the program being repeated this week on Channel 12.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Happening segment of ShellPoint TV. I'm Bev Chandley and this is Caitlin Van Scoy, and we're going to tell you what activities we have for you here today at ShellPoint. We're going to start at 8 o'clock this morning with men's match play doubles tennis down at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. Virtual bowling will be in the Resident Activity Center at 8:45. 9:15 we have billiards also at the Resident Activity Center. At 9:15 we have the Lollygaggers Paddlers group going out. They meet at the kayak storage facility. Pottery with instruction available will be down in the Pottery Studio also at 9:15. 10 o'clock the men's match play doubles tennis will be down there at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. Our Suzy Q boat heads out to Matanzas on the bay for lunch at 10 o'clock. The Disciple Men's Bible Study group will be in the game room of the Woodlands at 10:30. Then at 10:45, we have table tennis clinic going on at the Tarpon Room. We have a Health Connections class at 11:30, Agility and Flexibility, and that's held in the Health Club, and it's currently full. Here's Caitlin for your afternoon lineup.
Thank you, Bev. We're going to start the afternoon off with Mahjong at 12 o'clock. That's in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. And advanced table tennis will be in the Tarpon Room at 1:15. Samba the card game will be played at 1:15 in the Resident Activity Center. And 1:15 is also the time for tone chimes, and they'll be in the Osprey Room on the island. From 1:30 to 3:30 today, the model train room will be open for complimentary tours, and that'll be down in the Island Tunnel. At 1:45, we have a Health Connections class, Balance and Mobility Training Level 1. That's in the Health Club, and it's currently full. The Beady-Eyed Beat Club will be in the Oak Room of the Woodlands at 2 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, another Health Connections class, Pilates Stretch, and that's in the Health Club. ShellPoint Singers Rehearsal will be in the Choir Room of the Village Church at 3:15 today. At 3:30, there's a Health Connections class, Aqua Agility and Conditioning. It's in the LifeQuest Aquatic Center. Pickleball will be played at 4 o'clock, and that'll be at the pickleball courts on the island that's behind the Resident Activity Center. At 6:15, we have a community concert series trip to Barbara B. Mann Theater. 6:15 is the time for pickups on the island, 6:25 Woodlands, and 6:35 Eagles Preserve and Estuary. 6:30, we have Duplicate Bridge in the Woodlands, and that's in the game room. 6:45, we have movie night, and it's Adam's Rib. It's a 1949 film, and that'll be in the Social Center on the island. We finish the day off at 7 p.m. with square dancing in the Health Club, and that's currently full. Well, thank you so much for joining us right here at the Happening segment of ShellPoint TV. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Monday. At 10 o'clock, we have Beautiful Science 13, in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. Please sign up at either service desk. Another class to sign up for, 10:15, iPhones dictation in the Manatee Room on the island. At 10:30, no sign-up needed. Anatomy of Words in the Oak Room of the Woodlands welcomes everyone. I'd like to tell you about some new classes coming tomorrow. The History of the Middle East to Present Times, Session 4 with Professor Adrian Kerr. If you have signed up, please join us. Talking is the New Typing with Bruce Findlay of Sundial. We have Lightroom for Beginners with Dottie Morrison of Solana, and Mail Merge with Al Kaplan of Oakmont.
Your menus for Monday, February 23rd. In the Crystal Room, the platter is tomato basil salmon with angel hair pasta and pan-fried zucchini. For dinner, it's Old Home Cooking Night for $11.95. The soup is Senate bean. In the Allen Cafe at lunch, it's an Italian sausage sandwich with peppers and onions and fries for $7.25. At dinner, it's fried catfish with hush puppies, French fries, and coleslaw for $8.25. The Palm Grill is closed on Mondays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at shellpoint.net.
Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey. My travels in Europe as a missionary field leader provided some interesting reminders regarding how God is building His church. In April 1990, I visited the Volksmission Christian Fellowship, a small church in Innsbruck in Western Austria, a strategic town surrounded by high mountains. Hans, one of the elders, told me his story. In 1945, right after the Second World War, Hans received a care package from the United States in which someone had included a New Testament in German. Not interested, but not willing to throw it out, he placed it on a shelf. In 1963, 18 years later, when Hans was busily chopping wood outside his house, a well-dressed Englishman, complete with briefcase, showed up with the startling greeting, "Guten Tag, mein Herr. I'm bringing you the best news you ever heard." Fearing the foreigner must be associated with some sect, Hans invited him in to try to deliver him from his error. But the Englishman, who turned out to be a Baptist missionary from Wolverhampton, answered every question that Hans fired at him by referring to the Bible. Eventually he prayed for Hans and left. That conversation prompted Hans to take his New Testament off the shelf and begin to read it. It also motivated him to start attending regular Bible studies at the home of David Norris, the missionary, observing his marriage and his family life in the process. It took 2 years for him to understand the gospel. Eventually, David Norris had to return to England for good. 13 years later, we're now in September of 1976, Hans began attending the Volksmission Christian Fellowship. The following month, through the preaching of a visiting evangelist, Hans trusted Jesus Christ and was born again. The Bible says, "I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God made it grow." That was what Paul the Apostle wrote to the Corinthians. David Norris planted the seed. It was watered by a German New Testament sent by an anonymous donor in the United States 18 years previously, and a visiting evangelist at the Volksmission who saw it grow to fruition. The process took 31 years. God is indeed building His church, one person at a time. Your influence matters. And thank you for tuning in to Village Church Connections.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in again tomorrow when we'll head out to the Aquatic Center to hear about a great class offered there. And we'll have a photo review of a recent outing to the Marie Selby Gardens. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Monday, February 23rd. I'm Dan Philgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.